It appears there has been a coup in Iran. It appears the IRGC commander, Major General Ahmed Vahidi, has taken over. He's an IRGC hardliner. So this isn't the kind of coup that we had hoped for. This is the opposite, but it is a sign that the regime is fracturing. And this is what I talked about night before last, is that the whole situation there is coming apart. And I'm not really happy with what's going on here in my videos. So it is a sign that the regime is fracturing. And this is what there we go. I don't like that. I got a whole different setup here, and it's not working too good for me here. All right, I hope everybody can hear me now. So I don't see any feedback. In any event, so this whole thing with Iran, I reported on this not before last. And just to repeat, the IRGC commander, Major General Ahmed Vahidi, apparently has conducted a coup and taken over Iran. I'm not seeing any chat room here. What is going on? I don't know if y'all can hear me or not this time. Okay, y'all can hear me this time. Good. Sorry. This is take two for those watching in the morning. I'm having equipment problems because I changed computers. All right. So what's happened here is that the hardliners have taken over, it looks like. And part of the evidence of this is the fact that they've been firing on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, the fact that they have actually fired on American vessels. So it looks like really and truly the ceasefire is over. But the United States hasn't responded in full force yet, and they're probably waiting until they get everything in place because they probably weren't quite ready to respond yet. So kind of to unravel a lot of this stuff, there was a lot of people in Iran that from the hardliner side that were protesting, the insiders of the fans of the IRGC and so forth, that basically the regime had capitulated, had surrendered to the West, and we're demanding big changes in the negotiations, which will be a big fat zero with Trump. So I'm expecting the bombing to commence and to commence real heavy in Iran, and I expect the place to get blown to smithereens because this is the opposite of what Trump was trying to get. They were already playing hardline a little bit too much, and so this isn't going to resolve. It's not going to work out at all. Well, I'm glad I'm loud and clear. So for those that are watching in the morning, I hid the other video. My controls on here are somehow different. I'm supposed to be able to delete a video like that, and I couldn't. Anyway, I'll get into that in a minute. So let's get into the news. Let's keep going with the news, and we'll talk about the logistics in a little bit. So what's happened here is that to back it up a little bit, there was a vessel from Iran that tried to run the blockade. They thought they could get away with running the blockade. The United States forces followed them for about 7 hours, warning them. You will not, basically they had to cease. They had to desist. If they didn't, there were going to be consequences. And they just kept going. Well, they should have known better because then the United States Navy calls and says, hey, look, you need to evacuate your engine room. And then they fired upon the ship and hit the engine room with about 2 shots, I believe. And of course, then the ship couldn't go nowhere. And they were boarded by Marines from the 31st Marine Excursion Unit, the 31st MEC. So this is what, they should have expected all along. And for some reason, they just kept going. Well, all at once, Iran just gets mad. Oh, my, how you do this? Of course, that's what a blockade is. They should have understood that was coming. So then they turned around and fired on some American ships. And apparently they're firing on ships in the Strait of Hormuz now. So it seems like it's going to be on. Now, I don't think our forces have responded in full kind just yet. We're still sending a lot of stuff into the Mideast. We got things coming into play. The USS Gerald Ford is now in the Red Sea. It could launch its aircraft from the Red Sea, especially with refueling. And the Red Sea might be a good distance from the missiles that Iran has that's within range of the Houthis, but right now they're in the upper Red Sea, so it may be hard for the Houthis to reach and target them, especially considered the fleet will be moving around and probably invasive maneuvers to avoid that. So it would be very difficult at long distance to target a with ballistic missiles unless you've got guidance that will compensate. And I don't believe they have that with the missiles they got in Yemen. So the Houthis would be hard pressed to hit them where they are. The question is, will the Houthis are talking about responding and getting involved in this again? Will they? And what happens if the Houthis are talking about shutting down the strait there? It's called the Strait of Tears, the Bab el Mandeb Strait. Hope I got the word right that time. This that little point right at the south end of the Red Sea. It's funny how all these chokeholds occur and all these points like that. But anyway, the Houthis are talking about shutting that down. Would they fire upon the USS Gerald Ford? Sure. They would love to be able to claim credit for sinking the USS's newest, biggest aircraft carrier. I seriously doubt that would happen. They might fire upon it. If they did, they would catch holy, you know what. But will the USS Gerald Ford actually try to transit through that strait? I don't know. Like I said, it is capable of launching sorties from its current location, especially with refueling over Saudi Arabia. And given that Iran has fired on Saudi Arabia, I don't think Saudi Arabia I think they would encourage it, because Saudi Arabia and the UAE actually called for the United States just bombing Iran out of existence. They don't have to deal with them anymore. So a lot of things have changed in the Strait of Hormuz, in the Persian Gulf. Since the Iranians have fired on everyone in the area, they have no friends. They have no allies. They were guardedly somewhat tolerated before. Those days are over. They're going, as long as the current regime or some derivative is in power, they will get no love from the rest of the Gulf Coast, the Sunni-led Gulf Coast states. Iraq is basically a Shia country, but they're been under fire too, so Iraq will be somewhat divided. Iraq is a country that's got Kurds in the north. It's got Sunnis in the middle, and Saddam Hussein was Sunni, but the biggest part of the population was in the south. The majority was Shia, and Iraq is today primarily run by Shia. But it's been fired upon too. So there's nobody been missing the wrath of Iran since the beginning. And another thing that's happened is that Iran is kind of publicly claiming, well, we're just shooting at American military bases. And the UAE says, no, 90% of everything you fired has been hitting civilian targets. Now, some people say, oh, we can't fire on civilian bridges and power plants in Iran. It would be a great traversity. Some people are even saying it would be genocide or war crimes. Iran's already doing it, and these are typically targets in military engagements. And the thing is, if you are planning to go in and put boots on the ground inside Iran, if you take out their power plants and disable their ability to respond with being able to have command and control and targeting over the missiles, then you have crippled the response to be able to deal with any incursion we might put to try to take out the nuclear materials, if that's what the United States is going to do. I don't know that they're going to do that, but that possibility exists. The other thing is taking out bridges inhibits the Iranians mobilizing. Of course, the Iranians already know where their stuff is, so they already have some forces in play in that area. But you can bet the United States would hit those with heavy bombardment before they sent forces in to take out the forces already in place in that area. Now, here's something a lot of people don't know. The mountains around Iran are their greatest asset from being invaded. The mountains around Iran are their greatest impediment for being able to marshal forces within their own country, because Iran is divided by these mountain ranges internally. And it takes a lot to marshal and move things around inside that country. The roads aren't that great. They were trying to make a tunnel from Tehran up the Caspian Sea, which isn't that far away, but that northern mountain range there was just too formidable. They had all kind of problems trying to put a tunnel road in to get to the Caspian Sea from Tehran, which is almost there up at the Caspian Sea. So if that gives you some clue, it's really difficult to deal with moving around inside of Iran due to all their mountainous terrain. Like I said, their mountain ranges is their biggest asset, and it's their biggest impediment all at once. Now, if you were going to put forces inside Iran, it becomes their biggest impediment if you've already taken out their bridges and if you've taken out their power grid. So that is the military advantage of doing those two things. Taking out the bridges inhibits their mobilization internally. You bet we'd hit tunnels too. Taking out their we're not going to take out every culvert in Iran. I covered that previously. There's a 300,000 some odd culverts or something like that, and little bridges. It would be the major arteries. You don't have to take out every bridge on every road to impede traffic on the road. You just got to take out the major ones. So, when we say we're going to hit everything, that's just a manner of speaking, I would assume. I don't think any military planner would actually try to do that. That's a waste of ammo. You don't have to do that. Power plants, they may not take out all the power plants either. They may be strategic and which ones they choose. I don't know yet how that would play out. If that does play out, then again, it could have been Trump posturing to try to get them to make a deal for the nuclear stuff. But they're not going to make a deal. And if they did make a deal, how would you trust them? I've covered this before. Iran has always lied. Iran has always tried to mislead us. Given where this war is at, and given that the hardliners are taking over the regime, given that they, fired, during the ceasefire, even prior to that, given that they, had let, supposedly had told some of their ships that could go through the Gulf, ships paid a toll. Like those couple of the Indian ships paid a toll, was given permission, and on their way through, they got fired at. Who can trust Iran? Nobody. You don't even know who's in charge, really. Who do you negotiate with? How do you negotiate when a place is fractured as it is in their command structure, when they're digging their hackles in and resisting? It sounds to me like there's a weather forecast, and the weather forecast is bombs, bombs, bomb, 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 Iran. That was a big hit when I was in the Army because we were at straits with Iran back in those days in the around 1980 when all my gear was packed up on the tarmac at Pope Air Force Base, and they told me I couldn't even go home. I lived off base. I had to stay on the base for like 2 weeks, and they told me just point blank, "You're going." We're going to Iran. They just told us point blank. And it was the last minute. They must have had a change in operations and decided to do otherwise. But anyway, so I'm just giving you guys the skinny. Some other things that a lot of people don't know. I did pull up some articles today, but I am now running from my an older computer, and I can't put as much stuff on it. Can't pull up as many things. But it's in the Iranian Constitution to foment a worldwide takeover by Shia Islam. It's in their constitution. Some people, well, Iran wouldn't never do nothing. They blah, blah, blah. Look how they sponsored terrorist groups on 3 continents around the world, how they funded all these proxy groups, how these proxy groups started attacking on October 7th, year before last, how they thought they were going to win at that time. They thought, if nothing else, they'd win the hearts and minds of the people against Iran. They did sway a lot of people on that against Israel. They did sway a lot of people against, because they knew how Israel would respond to an attack like that. That was a heinous attack. I'm not saying what Israel's response was great and wonderful, but it is what it is right now, and that's neither here nor there. For us at this moment in time is, how do we deal with Iran going forward? However you want to slice it and dice it, we got a wildcat in the cage, and it's wounded, but it wants to fight still. If you let it out of the cage, it's going to fight. And so I'm hopeful that the original protesters, not the hardline protesters, the ones that don't mind getting out in the street because they know they're not going to be taken out by the regime, I'm hoping the original protesters, which far outnumber the others, do eventually take power in Iran. How they do that is going to be a difficult thing. But the people in Iran don't want that regime in charge of them because that regime has been extremely repressive. They are, as I speak, they're taking protesters and sentencing them to no longer exist, shall we say. To, so this regime there is, they don't want to give up. Why? It's their religion. Their religion says they got to do these things. Their religion says they've got to take on the great Satan. And that's not Israel. Israel's the little Satan. The great Satan is the US of A. And we've been their prime target. When they chant death to America, it's not just some slogan, they mean it. And so that's why having a country that sponsors terrorism like nobody else before, you really don't want them getting a hold of nuclear weapons. So then again, I still consider China to be our biggest threat. But China has used Iran as a proxy nation. Iran wouldn't even be able to do jack squat if it wasn't for China. Why is that? Because China's been financing the regime there. The regime was on some pretty tight ropes a few years ago when China went in and cut a big financial deal and gave a huge financial aid package to the regime to keep it in power. And furthermore, that financial aid package had strings attached that was going to keep China's fingers inside that country as long as that regime was in power. And a lot of people in Iran did not like that. The vast majority of the population was not happy with that at all. But the regime was, because it kept them going. And then on top of that, Iran has been the purchaser of the oil from Iran. Now, this has been a two-for win between China and Iran. One, Iran being sanctioned, where they wouldn't have been able to sell that stuff had it not been for China buying it, was making some money, not as much as they would if it was full market value. So, but China was able to buy it through their shadow fleet at a much reduced rate. So China, from buying sanctioned oil from Russia and Iran, had a major plus to their economy and their competition against the rest of the world as the world's manufacturer, trying to put everybody else out of business in the United States, Europe, and everywhere else. So China had a big advantage in buying this cheap oil. Well, guess what? That's gone now. That oil is being held. And even Russia has been charging more for their oil. And so it's not going to be the same, even if it comes back online. It will probably be at full market value. So China will have to pay more. And they said that would up the cost of Chinese exports like 20% if they can get the oil again. But China's worried now. China's actually getting worried because they're watching the reserves shrink down. And they're starting to get really worried about it now. So much so that they actually approached, oh, not the United States, they approached Saudi Arabia and asked Saudi Arabia to do everything they could to get the Strait open. Well, the only way Saudi Arabia could do that would be to work with the United States. But Saudi Arabia probably don't want to do that because they want to see Iran smashed. And the best way to smash Iran right now is to take the gas out of their economy by strangulation of where they can't make any revenue. If there's no money going to Iran, if we didn't do anything else but just sit there and maintain that blockade, then Iran will eventually fall. We won't be paying through the nose, though, because the price of oil will go up, the price of gas will go up. You'll probably pay more to pump than you're paying right now. So it might be a good thing to go fill your tank up while you got a chance right now. And maybe if you can buy a little extra, because it's probably going to go up more unless there's some miracle and suddenly these hardliners decide they want to sell daisies instead of export terrorism. Why? Explain this to me. If you think Iran is so great and wonderful, and some people have, and some people tell me they're morally equivalent to the United States, and in my own chat room in previous videos, if you think Iran is so great and wonderful, tell me why they're willing to take such a beating just to be able to maintain their ability to produce nuclear weapons. That's really what it boils down. Why are they so willing to be pummeled so hard? Now, there's talk that, oh, we'll just, we'll work out a deal and send our nuclear materials to China. Yeah, there's actually talk about that they will unilaterally work up an agreement with China outside of anything going on in the United States. And hopefully that we will go, oh, okay, it's gone, and we'll call the dogs off. Well, China is a primary sponsor, is the sponsor of Iran. They've been sending weapons over. They've been sending missile fuel over. The rocket fuel they've been using for their missiles has been coming from China. The technology, a lot of it came from China that they use in their missiles. Some of it came from North Korea. You can bet they probably got nuclear technology from either Al Qaeda Khan, who used to run the nuclear program out of Pakistan, or North Korea, or China, or Russia. All of these Pakistan is no longer an ally to them, but Pakistan is somewhat neutral. But these others are an ally. If China gets that nuclear material, who's to say when the dust settles, it'll say, okay, here it is, and just kind of sneak it back in with aircraft. Going to China is no acceptable alternative for what happens to the nuclear materials in Iran. Now, the administration won't out of the war because of the election pressure coming up, might accept that. But honestly, the game ain't over. If that happens, you can expect that stuff to wind up back in Iran again. China will have the well, Iran's anyway, and they'll cut some sweetheart deal with Iran for extra cheap oil if Iran has any means to export it. It might be that if we decide to pull away from, if we decide to pull out, we might just blow the smithereens out of Cargill Island. Then we could actually leave, and Iran would be in a dire strait for some time to come. So it's going to take them some years to pull out of this. Now, here's the other thing to bear in mind. It might be that the good Lord in heaven and Mother Nature are working together to make sure that this regime will never stand back up as it did. Not to mention all the Gulf Coast states, which just aren't going to tolerate a lot of stuff now. And they don't have an ally in Syria anymore. They don't have an ally in Lebanon anymore. So Iran might be hard pressed to come back to the level they were at. But here's the big thing. There's a big drought going on throughout the entire Arabic world, throughout the entire Mideast. Now, Iran's not Arabic, okay, but through the entire Mideast. Let me say the Islamic world. Let me put it that way. Major drought. And one of the worst places for that drought right now is Iran. Before the war started, Tehran, the capital city, was down to only 10% of the reserves for water. Their water was depleting fast with no sign of recovery. And Tehran is a huge city with lots of people. They were already talking about evacuating Tehran before the war started. It may be hard to do now with all the damaged infrastructure. Where will they go? Where else are they going to get water? But it ain't going to get any better there. This looks like a long-term systemic thing. And part of it is their own fault. It's not just Mother Nature. A lot of it is their own mismanagement because they decided to put a lot of their water resources in more intense agriculture than what they had historically been doing. And so they started pumping out their aquifers. They had aquifers and underground tunnels and a system that worked for thousands of years in Iran for keeping their people supplied with water and for being able to grow a modest amount of stuff. Well, they tried to plus that up. They tried to up the ante on. They pumped those aquifers dry. What happens when you pump all the water out of aquifer? The ground settles. It squishes down. The aquifers close. They won't refill. So even if Iran suddenly should start getting a lot of rain, doesn't mean they're going to have the water that they had before because it's not going to go down into the aquifers. So they're in a pickle over there. And that pickle may not come to an end anytime soon. So that is their situation. And that may bode well for the Western world. The main thing that will bode well for the Western world is the people in Iran can just overthrow this repressive regime that's got a boot on their neck. Because as long as that repressive regime that squandered their resources in the first place, and so the best thing for the Iranian people would be to get rid of these mullahs that's been running their country for almost 50 years, 47 years. So I wish them a lot of luck with that. I hope that they can pull it off. I hope it would work out, that they can find freedom there. You can bet that they will not be aligned with China if the people take over. They will be more aligned with the West. So this is what could happen there. But the regime is fractured. They've talked about arresting and even sentencing IRGC to death. The Speaker of the Parliament has spoken out against the hardliners, saying that, we're going, you're inviting doomsday upon us, basically, is what he said. In other words, I'll show you some articles on some of this stuff in a little bit. But Iran is, let's see, I will bring upon Elam the four winds and four quarters of heaven, and I will scatter them to all the winds, and they shall be no nation to which those driven out of Elam shall not come. Now people aren't going to want them. And the rest of the Mid East is going to be, in a hurt for water. They're not going to want a bunch of refugees. So, and if they did, they definitely want to vet them. They wouldn't want people that were IRGC, or probably even Iranian military, especially IRGC, or people that were part of the Islamic regime from the mullah side of the house. So they're not going to want those people. Some of them might slip into southern Iraq, maybe, some of the religious sorts. But, it's going to be a tough time for the people there. I hope the people find a way to persevere. I mean, I'm talking about just the regular citizens in Iran. But the government there is, like I said, it's in their constitution. If you're just joining me, it's in their constitution to set up a worldwide Shia Islamic state. And they believe this 12th Amman there is not going to crawl out of the well until it's like Armageddon. And what they're facing right now may feel like Armageddon there, but they mean elsewhere. So they're not going to be happy. And that's why that's why they're sticking to their guns. That's why they don't want to surrender. They don't want to give the stuff up. They got no intentions of it. And that is a pure sign of what their intention really was. You don't enrich uranium to 60% for giggles. You don't enrich uranium to 60% just to run your nuclear power plants. You do that so you can be on the threshold of building a nuclear bomb, and there's no other reason to do that. But we've been saying, well, they're a week away, they're a week away, they're a week away. People get tired of hearing that. But they were originally, probably it's more than a week, probably a month or two, but they were originally, just so far away from building one bomb. Now they're so far away from building maybe a dozen bombs. And give them time, it might be 24. Sooner or later, they might have enough to cause some consternation in the world. You got to remember, it'd only take two to take out Israel. They probably wouldn't launch them on ballistic missiles. They'd probably sneak them in if they were going to do that. Because they would want to hit Haifa, and they'd want to hit Tel Aviv. You hit those two cities, Israel's done. Israel's done. That's all it would take. Because Israel's a very small country. And the bulk of the Jewish population in Israel is concentrated in Haifa and Tel Aviv. Now, there's some in Jerusalem, but they wouldn't hit Jerusalem because Jerusalem is a holy land also for the Muslims. So they wouldn't do that. At least I wouldn't think they would. But they're mad dog. I mean, they've been shooting at everybody. So who knows? It's like they started out trying to exercise their Samson option with everything they had, shooting at every country around them and even firing stuff up toward Europe. There's been a couple of missiles that's went up toward NATO countries, intercepted over Turkey. And of course, there was the one that was trying to hit into Cyprus back early on. It hit, I think it was a drone. It hit the British air base there. And of course, under Keir Starmer, they don't know what to do but chew their fingernails. So get up and make a lot of wind. Pardon me. A lot of wind. So, guys, I'm just telling you what's cooking. And right now, it is the Mideast, and it's about, it looks to me, and I don't know how it goes any other way right now. It looks to me like it's about to get more intense than it's ever been, because we're about to have 3 aircraft carriers. 3. The George H.W. Bush is almost on station. They could fire from the USS Gerald Ford. The Abraham Lincoln is down. 3 aircraft carriers, plus all the Air Force assets in the area. And we got the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, the MEU, there. And the 82nd Airborne's there. We've been trekking in a whole lot of stuff over the past 2 weeks, a lot of munitions. And the USS Boxer is on the way. It's still not that close yet, but they could be there to assist if this thing drags out. Now, that's the last thing we want to see, is this drag out too far. But the price of gas is bad. It's hard. I know everybody's paying for it. We're all paying for it at the pocket, so it's hurting. I just went to Flagstaff today, and that's I don't like making long trips. I got to pay so much for gas myself. But you know what, guys? Tell me something. Would you rather pay a little bit more for gas for a short period, or have to stare it down some nuclear weapons? We tend to think short term, and that's how we are in America. We live by the seat of our pants, and we're very reaction prone. But and a lot of times people don't have a hard time seeing the big picture or believing what really could come down the road. But I don't know who else has told you that this is in the Iranian Constitution, but it is. So yeah, Arnold, the Iranian government did that to thousands of their own citizens. Exactly. So if they would do it to their own people, what would they do to the rest? Especially when you look at the kind of faith they have there. And they have a special version, that 12th Imam theory that they subscribe to at the upper echelons of the Ayatollah regime. That is something you cannot discount. And just the evidence of it, guys, just that they would fight tooth and nail to the last breath to maintain their nuclear materials. Why? See, we tend to try to think of them and rationalize them thinking like Western people. They're not. They don't think like us. You can't rationalize it that way, because they are not that way. The evidence speaks for itself. The evidence is that they are holding out. They don't want to surrender that nuclear material. If they do, they want to send it to China. That is not going to help the situation in the long term. Might take it out of their fingers for a little bit, but it's probably going to sneak right back in. So going to China is not a blessing for the United States or the West. So just something to take into account. But the biggest thing is that if China loses enough reserve fuel, it might make them reconsider moving on Taiwan. Now, I'm hearing some racket that they're talking about hitting Taiwan. That there's, I hadn't watched the video, but I've seen some other stuff talking about that, like Chris Chappell's channel, China Uncensored. He put out a video. I saw the headline. I hadn't had time to watch it. But anyway, he was suggesting that they were about to make their move. It looked like, at least from the title of the video. But that's hard to judge. I haven't seen that in other news sources yet, but he's got his finger deep in over there, a lot closer to the pulse of what China's doing than a lot of people. So there's also the guys that do the China show. They got their finger on the pulse inside China a lot too. And those channels are repressed like mine. If you talk down China, this platform represses you severely. So, but it is what it is. So I'm just trying to bring it to you as it is, just letting you know that this thing is about to pick up, whether you support it or not. What you need to know personally, from a prepper standpoint, is to prepare yourself to get fuel, to have your best source of that. You might have to get some of your driving and some of the little activities you wanted to do that might require you to use a lot of fuel done now rather than later. Uh, maybe get some gas cans and stock up, but be careful storing that stuff. You can't store gasoline just anywhere. It's a huge fire hazard. It's an explosive fire hazard. It needs to be a place that's not going to get hot in the sun, and it's got to be a place that's well vented and not in your house. Okay. Don't store a bunch of gasoline in your house. You're asking for huge trouble if you do that. If you could maybe set up a little block building, maybe dig it into the ground a little bit and have it well ventilated where air can flow through it. Maybe put a metal roof on, throw dirt on top so it won't get so hot. there's some things to consider, if you're storing gas. You can't train a snake to ride a bicycle. All right, Earl. That's a pretty good comment. Uh, that's a good one. But that's what you're dealing with there. I mean, you're dealing with people who are hard driven by their faith, and their faith tells them that the 12th Imam is going to come out of that cave and they're going to take over the world. But to do it, they need something akin to Armageddon. And our main target is what they call the Great Satan, and that's the United States of America. And when they chant "Death to America," it's not just some slogan like Cubs, like Boy Scout slogan, "Be prepared," which all us preppers should know, right? They mean it. They mean it. So this is something to take into consideration. Do they have sleeper cells here? We have good reason to think they do. What is the threshold for activating those sleeper cells? Hopefully we don't find out, but we may be close to it. We start bombing the snot out of them, something might happen. So just in case, you always need to be situationally aware. You need to keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel like never before. If you be prepared for the power grid to go down. Do you have alternate means for power? Do you have means to live without electrical power? These are things you need to be asking yourself. You need to consider what you would do. If there's no power, not many gas stations have generators as backup so they can pump fuel. There's a few that do, but not most of them. You're going to see a major breakdown in supply chain if our grid goes down. You're not getting jack diddle, pretty much, because even the stores, cash registers these days are electronic, and most of them don't even know how to transact stuff the old-fashioned way. And not to mention, everything will probably be stolen out of them within 2 or 3 days anyway, with the mobs and such breaking into stores and grabbing what they can. So, and then what happens, it's only like 3 days supplies in the grocery stores. So if they took everything out of the grocery store, it's not going to hold them over but a few days. So this is what we're dealing with, guys. Grow your own food. Check out the link I'll put at the bottom of this video for True Leaf Market and buy some heirloom seeds. And don't waste time about it, because we don't know how long these availabilities will be out there. But I've done videos, some of my oldest videos on this channel are about growing your own food. And that is always a good thing to do. I don't care whether you believe in any of this stuff or not. I don't care whether you what side you're on politically or whatever. Growing your own food makes a ton of sense, considering all the contamination you get in food, considering it's actually good for your health and mentally good for you to be growing food. But learn how to grow it in such a way you don't have to go to the store and buy plants, fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, gas for a rototiller. The way I taught gardening early in this channel was you don't do none of that. I never have. When I garden, I don't buy fertilizers, herbicides, and all that junk. I developed good compost. Of course, I use worms to accelerate that. But good compost is the key to good gardening. And good soil is living soil. You put all this stuff in it, you kill the soil. Your soil is not as productive. Worm tea is one of those things, and worm castings that help to reinstall the biome that the soil itself needs, especially the mycorrhiza, the fungal mats that transport all these nutrients around. So these are all things you need to be aware of. Don't start guessing eggs already. Hang on till I say go. Oh, by the way, I lost a hen. I lost a hen. So I'm down to 11 hens now. But that's enough. So I'll come back to that in a little bit. Um, so let's I want to show you some news articles here in a minute. And well, did I bring up the chat here? Let's see. I thought I hit this. Yeah, I want to start watching the chat over my shoulder on this computer. And la di da di. Let's see here. Where's it at? I don't see the chat room yet. There it is. There it is. Good. Yeah, do the True Leaf Market. Use my link to it. And it helps. Oh, I had so many people. Oh, Greg, you'll be happy. I went to True Leaf Market and I bought a bunch of stuff just like you said, but didn't use my link. They didn't save any money not using my link. It helps me if you do use my link. But yeah, something you want to consider. They got good non-GMO heirloom seeds there at True Leaf Market. So have a look at it. Check it out. If you got what you like, consider shopping there. I'm about to buy a bunch of seeds to grow microgreens again, good Lord willing. Because I probably got to come up with alternate income. I'm supposed to know more tomorrow, but I just saw a rec for how much time authorization I got in my day job, and it ain't much. So it looks like we're about to run out of gas. So anyway, I'll know more tomorrow. We have a meeting tomorrow. They'll tell us what all that means. Oh, cat. It's not a pay period worth the time, okay? It's less than one pay period. So I don't know what that means yet. I'll find out tomorrow. So in any event, let's do this. Let's go and look at a few articles. Like I said, I can't pull up as many articles as I could before. What I did is I turned in the computer I was using. It did have a lot of RAM, and it had random access memory, which meant I could open more stuff. And it had a big hard drive, which meant I could store thumbnails and all these things. I don't have that stuff on this computer right now. I can put a little bit of it on it, but maybe I will tonight to create a thumbnail. But I had trouble with this using this camera set up to the computer now, so there was no audio my first try here. I tested it. Everybody said it was muted. No, I wasn't muted. It was some other technical issues because I actually tested the sound before I started my video, and I had sound. So when y'all wasn't getting sound, I was perplexed by that. So it was just a Zoom thing apparently. But anyway, I hadn't crashed yet tonight. Maybe that's a good thing. This computer ain't overheating like the other one, but it don't have the horsepower either. So today was the last day on the warranty, and I called in to Best Buy. They said, if you turn it in today, you can get a refund. I took it over to the store. They said no refund. They said we can only do a refund, or they wouldn't even swap it out. They would only send it back to the shop for maintenance. They said because we don't have a replacement computer, we don't carry this model anymore. Since we don't carry this model anymore, we can't refund it. We can't replace it. That blew my mind. It's like, what? But they said they could send it back to the shop and they could escalate it with them to do a refund. So I don't know if I'm getting any money back or if I'm gonna have to pay them $99 and get their computer 8 weeks from now and have it overheat again like it did the first time. So I am not happy with Best Buy. Best Buy might be Worst Buy. So I wanted to do a video comparing all these computers before, but I didn't have time. I've not done as many videos lately. I need to do a video on Amy Eskridge. That story is something that's close and dear to my heart because I knew her. And I'd hoped to do a video a couple of days ago, but I've had a lot of issues. I've had a lot of things I've been dealing with. So I just haven't had the time to do that yet. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share some different articles here. I'm going to move this out of my way. And let's see, come in here to this. We'll start with this, guys. Share screen. And we'll be done with these. We're not going to stay on much longer with the news part. So, guys, I've done several videos talking about product before we go into the other articles. I've been talking about all the contaminants in a lot of the products we're getting, all the chemicals we're seeing in our foods, and our especially what's less regulated is like your hand soaps, your shampoos, your toothpaste of all things. I did a video showing that 90% of your toothpaste have heavy metals in them, and that just about all your products are contaminated with chemicals these days that you shouldn't be ingesting into your system. So, and even stuff that you put lotion on, it goes in right through your skin. You absorb those chemicals directly. Hand soap, dish detergent, same kind of stuff. Uh, so these are things you got to pay attention to. And the problem comes from the fact that we got something like over 550 different companies. Wow, I hate when the screen does that. Over 550 different companies that have been bought out by just 12 major corporations. It's all this merger stuff, acquisitions. And when they buy out some of these other companies, they change their formulations so that they can save money, makes it cheaper, makes them more shelf stable in the grocery store. They add chemicals for that stuff. And because they substitute some things, they have to substitute other stuff to make up for the flavor or the texture. So they just start loading chemicals and stuff, guys. It's not a pretty picture. And the other thing is I've talked to you about the House of Klaus, how they're funded by their partners. I've shown you that in the past. And their partners are these big corporations, the big corporations. And to make it even more interesting, these companies all have controlling interest in them by the three big asset management companies. The three big asset managers dominate U.S. corporate industry. Well, we should know that. And the biggest one is BlackRock. And who's the head of BlackRock? Larry Fink. What's Larry Fink also run? The House of Klaus, the WEF. I kid you not, guys. So when you buy stuff from these guys, you're economically voting for the guys that tell you you will have no privacy, no property, and you'll be happy. You'll own nothing. Yeah, right. I don't think that's a pathway to anything but slavery. So, guys, I come up with a way to get out of that. I got switchwithgreg.com. Go to switchwithgreg. Thank you, New Days, for sharing that already. And the other link. Go to switchwithgreg.com. You'll discover we have a family-owned company that produces non-toxic products. It's all made here in the US of A, supporting American jobs. And those chemicals aren't in these products. They extensively test them for consumer safety. Even the cleaners are plant-based. So you can take it to the bank, my friends. This is a whole lot better for you, and you're not voting for the House of Klaus. So give it a try. You just go up here and fill in switchwithgreg.com. And this is my website. Some people, oh, no information on it. No, this just goes to me, and a lady named Lisa from our community will be contacting you on my behalf to bring you into this, show you all the details. So, all right, my friends, let's get back to the news here. So this is Iran strikes U.S. vessels in retaliation for cargo ships seizure. So I kid you not. So Iran's semi-official Tasnim, actually the official one's Press TV. I had not seen that online lately. But anyway, so and they got the Fars News Agency. So they've been trying to strike U.S. ships. Not a lot of details on that in this article though. But they say the incident was first announced by President Donald Trump. Anyway, but yeah, this article is kind of void of details of what they've been striking on our end. But the USS Spruce disabled, and the helicopter guys went after their ship. So yeah, we're in a fog of war. Some details just aren't getting through here. What U.S. ships did they hit? I don't know. It's not in that article. And I had an article up from another news agency claiming similar stuff, but it was also kind of vague on that. So, and again, this is before we heard of this IRGC commander, Major General Ahmed Vahidi, taking over. This article is talking about how the Israeli intelligence has said there's major fractures. What's that? No. In the Iranian, NOPO. Okay, whatever NOPO means. Uh, the Iranian military and government is highly fractured, different groups vying to take over. So that it should be no surprise there. But apparently the IRGC has made its play. And it's talking about the various factions there. I won't go into that because that's kind of water under the bridge now. But this is what Galaboff, the Speaker of the House, said prior to this takeover from Major General Ahmed Vahidi. He said they will destroy Iran. So if you don't negotiate with them, they're going to destroy Iran. But they actually, I think what he was actually referring to was the IRGC hardliners by not negotiating, that they're the ones that's going to destroy the country. That's the way I read this article. So Mohammed Bagher Galaboff, he's the one that's been saying this. So, but he may be in huge trouble now. Because both some people are already calling for IRGC's head, and he's pretty much the same ilk as IRGC. So there may be in huge trouble. UAE official, more than 90% of Iran's targets were civilian infrastructure. So for all those that want to claim moral equivalency with Iran, there you go. We're going to get through this real quick. I just got a few. And here is your aircraft going to send supplies. How come that's not open? There we go. There's a bunch of aircraft sending supplies, trucking them in to, flying them in to support the war on Iran. So I bet you this is going to go big, really big when it goes off next time. Okay, is this going to come up? Yes, it's Gerald Ford's in the Red Sea. And to see where it is, we'll pull up the fleet tracker map here. Oops. Ding, ding, ding. Like I said, it's up at the upper end of the Red Sea. The Houthis, this Bab el Mandeb Strait is down here. And the George Bush is still coming around. So we may be waiting on the George H.W. Bush to get closer before we really launch everything. It went around the South Africa. It came all the way, instead of going through the Suez Canal and taking the risk of being shot at, it came down around this way. And we got the Abraham Lincoln over here, and the USS Tripoli, which has the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, and the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit is over here on the Boxer, USS Boxer, which is on its way. But it's not even went through the Strait of Malacca yet. So it's still got a little ways to go, but it has pretty much crossed the Pacific. So I think Trump may be wanting to wait a little bit to get his forces in place before they launch everything, because I'm kind of guessing they're going to do a shock and all blitzkrieg. I could be wrong. They could start hammering stuff before then, but I'm expecting at some point there's going to be like this total shock and all, and they're going to try to hit it. The reason for that is this. Iran's dug out a lot of their missiles. You want to make sure you hit those missiles first, I would think. So I think those missiles will be target one, even before they go for power plants and bridges. And so you need a lot of firepower to take those missiles out as fast as possible. So you want to shock and awe. I mean, heck, if they told the Iranians, hey, we're watching you. We know where your stuff's at, because they were digging it out. So that was a warning. Like, don't try it. But apparently they may be on the verge of trying it. So I would expect just armchair strategy here. But I would expect what makes a lot of sense is you go for those missiles first. The power plants could actually, if you hit them, that could make it hard to launch those missiles too, because you're losing command and control. And even missiles require power to launch them. So, I mean, the launchers have to require power. Now, the missiles themselves usually have thermal batteries, which they produce voltage as they burn. They have a fuel in them. They burn that fuel, and that fuel creates a voltage. It's called a thermal battery. Eagle Picture used to make those here in the United States. Eagle Picture's quality really went to a heck in a handbasket, but that's another story. So, as somebody who's worked battery stuff, supporting NASA, these are things I know. But anyway, maybe they've come back up to par since. So, Zoom is fine. I'm going to squeeze this window down a little bit. All righty. So again, like I said, they're cracking down on the dissidents there. They're arresting them, executing them. As I mentioned, they've executed some young ladies who were protesting, but so they wouldn't go to heaven. They raped them before they executed them. This regime is heinous. Just no other way to slice it. And like I said, I had somebody come in here in one of my videos claiming they had moral equivalency in the United States. I think I gave them my 2 cents worth really fast. You may not have appreciated it. But, and again, China has been the sponsor, arming Iran, giving them the finances, the armaments. Shoot, all this stuff's popping in the way here. We'll just get away from that article. Those pop-ups just don't want to get out of my face. So, so at least 5 Iranian-linked tankers heading from the Gulf of Oman to Malaysia have changed course after U.S. Navy ships just carrying Iranian oil would be intercepted ever since they announced that. So, yeah, we intercepted that one, and others have turned around. All right, we're going to change topics. We're going to get off the war for a little bit for a change. Yeah, sickos. Exactly. You know, so you're going to send some woman to death, but you got to rape her because you want her to go to hell. And you think that's going to send her to hell. That God's going to judge her by what somebody else does to her. Yeah, what kind of religion is that? God's going to judge somebody by something somebody else does to them. That's what they believe. That's the way they believe stuff. Is that the kind of God you want to honor? It blows my mind, but that's the way they think of it. I'm like telling you guys, you cannot assign to them Western logic. You can't think they think like we do. They don't. Not at all. And it is sick. It is sick, see, Shelley. Absolutely. So, Greenland ice completely melted 7,000 years ago. So they went to the thickest part of the ice cap and drilled down and found out that 7,000 years ago, Greenland was ice free. It was really green. That was within the current interglacial that we're in. I have shown you guys temperature profiles in the past where when the ice age ended, earlier parts of the interglacial was actually warmer than it is today, and temperatures have been cooling off since. And these people want to tell us that the coral will all die off if the temperature goes up just a little bit. It seems to me that coral has survived this before. It seems to me that back in the dinosaur ages, when it was way hotter, or 50 million years ago when it was way hotter, but not as hot as they talk about the heat spot 50 million years ago. It was even hotter back in the dinosaur ages. There was coral. So all this crying and gnashing of teeth seems to be a little overrated. Just a little bit. And humans can't survive. That's the other thing. Humanity will die out. We can't survive if temperature just goes up just a little bitty bit. That's what they're telling us. If temperature goes up just a little bitty bit, we won't survive. Well, knock, knock. It's been a lot higher, and humans did survive. Humans did survive. Amen. American women don't know how good we have it. Can you imagine that people are protesting? Blue-haired American women are protesting on the behalf of the hardcore IRGC hardliners in Iran or the Palestinians. Palestinians ain't going to love them either. I mean, some of these people don't realize who it is they're supporting and how they really view them. They just don't get how is it somebody that would campaign for women's rights could it all think what they call women's rights? Could it all think to sponsor, stand for this kind of stuff? Blows my mind. Blows my mind. I post some of this kind of stuff on Facebook and they get mad at me. Oh, they get hopping mad at me. So, and some few of you have watched my Facebook post. There's one guy in particular who comes in and attacks me like crazy all the time. Anyway, as Lynn Beck said, it does not matter what you believe about Islam doctrine, they believe it. Yes, they do. And Glenn Beck's been warning us about this stuff for a long time. Tell me where Glenn Beck's been wrong. He warned us about the socialist movement. He warned us about Cloward and Piven. He warned us about uh, uh, a lot of these things. Neville Singham funding stuff in China. He's warned us about a lot of this stuff from way back, and nobody wanted to listen to him. There's no end to abundance of ignorance. Arnold Smith, we might have to give you an honorary doctorate tonight. you've been hitting it head on. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So let me get to just got a couple more news items here, and then we'll go more into the chat room for a little bit. So it's just trying to pop up on me. Probably should have read it before I exited. It was breaking news. Researchers blow the lid on the discovery that could prove Noah's Ark was real. Well, there's this outcropping on Mount Ararat. I was shooting turkey. Oh, come on, don't throw this stuff at me. That has caught a lot of interest. Apparently, they did soil samples in it. It's got a lot more organic material on the inside than the outside. And it's the length of that matches the length biblically described of Noah's Ark. But the most interesting thing, now looking at it from this penetrating radar, they found what looks like tunnels inside this structure that some believe equate to the multi-deck nature. What? That's not the article I had. It changed articles on me. Don't you love it how it does that? I don't want you to see about Noah's Ark. Here we go. Yeah, well, let me see it now, or is it going to change it again? Yeah, so they did scans of this formation, and it's got voids in it, like tunnels that fit where passageways ought to be, that fit. There's a picture of it. That's not coming up on here. It's not playing. Matter of fact, I think everything's frozen. Probably killing them. No, it ain't frozen up. I'm not having as much trouble on this computer as I did my other one. So I'm not saying that it is Noah's Ark. Some people claim that's just purely a rock outcropping. It just happens to be on Mount Ararat. It just happens to be the right size and shaped like a boat by total coincidence. But they say it's purely geologic. It's all rock. Hey, might have petrified. I'm not saying it is or it is, because some people actually make a case that Noah's Ark landed on a different mountain, that we picked the wrong Ararat, that there's a different mountain called Ararat back in the day. I don't know, my friends. I don't know, but it's interesting. Let's just say that it's interesting. We got some major earthquake activity in the world today. Look at all this stuff going on. It is getting intense today. So, oh yeah, what's the 20th anniversary of Waco? So yeah, we just passed that anniversary. Just going to get over here to Japan. We'll take the outer circle. They had a major earthquake up, not that one. It's like 7 point something here off of Japan. I get it? No, it keeps clicking the little ones. Trying to get the big circle. Problem is, as I zoom in, the circles just get smaller. Oh, well, they got so many aftershocks are piled all over. Yeah, they had like a 7.0 in Japan, maybe a little better than 7.0 off the shore there. That's the kind of thing you got to worry about tsunamis and such, right? But so they got a lot of aftershocks going on there. So they've had some major earthquake activity in Japan. And you look at Alaska, ooh, it's really cooking up there. And then Indonesia area, Papua New Guinea, let's see, Indonesia there, 5.3. You got a 5.5, and Timor, just cooking off Bangladesh, no, it's India, 5.0. Got a 5.2 in Ecuador. The Puerto Ricans are dancing hard tonight as usual. I guess they got something to party over. And let's see if I can come here. Because what always interests me is this little vertex on the Juan de Fuca fault plate right here. Right here on the southern end where three fault lines or three plates meet, all kind of earthquake activity right here. And that's not the biggest one. Well, let me select it. There's three earthquakes right there. Trying to select the bigger bubble. All right, 4.7. 4.7. We got one up pretty close to San Andreas Fault right here. And Maricopa, California, close to Los Angeles. Springs, Nevada, Silver Springs, Nevada. We've had several in Silver Springs, Nevada recently. And Kanash, Utah. This is a hotbed for earthquakes here. White City, New Mexico. Westbrook, Texas. Oklahoma. So, yeah. Good friends in Puerto Rico. Well, some of us over here in, not all in Puerto Rico. Dominican Republic. Too. So, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, really rocking. All right. Last stop for the news is space weather. We got people leaving us already. Let me check my own line. I like to give credit before people leave us here. It's 1:30 my time. I don't want to be here much longer. Check my email, see if anybody sent a donation in. Got a really good one now before us. Let's see. Note to self. Hope that's not the right email. Okay. Who knows to self over here? That's right. Email myself. All right. So, got the Lyrid meteor shower peaking tonight, 21st to the 22nd. You might want to get a chance to see if you see a few meteors. Comes from leftovers from a comet, the comet Thatcher. There's a comet Pan stars. If you have a long exposure, you might be able to pick it up as the sun sets, but that is not going to be visible naked eye, I don't think. We got some fairly decent aurora activity. It goes down to northern Alberta. Arnold, can you see into that aurora? You usually don't report it when I ask that. Well, don't have a lot of asteroids coming too close to us right now. In fact, through the 18th of June, a month away almost, there's nothing coming between the Earth and the Moon that we know of yet. Doesn't mean there won't be some, as we always discover them after they pass through or really close to us. That's why you got more red and colors back here than you got looking forward. But we're finding a lot of them. The more we find, the better our predictions will get, right? Anyway, I'm going to stop the chat. Not stop the chat. I'm going to stop the share. Pardon me. Loudy people, how y'all doing tonight? So I'll go glance through the chat room here, see what folks are saying. I'm going to, it's not there. Oh, I got to, it's open it up in a different browser. Yeah, I got some work to do on this computer. Got some work to do on this computer. I'm using one I used to use, a laptop, my old laptop. It's not as powerful. Screen's tiny. It's the RAM is not there. I'm gonna have to do some work just to be able to do the thumbnails tonight. I've been outside recently. Okay. Amazing. We live in this time spoken of so long ago. Looks like yet. There are at least 3 rabbis who show clips of back now. I'm on the Hebrew side. Okay. I'm taking this. Let me go to the top and scroll down. So the other way. 88 watching right now. A lot of folks come in here. A lot of our regulars. Good to see all y'all. I'm just looking for some key comments. Booze Hound. We got somebody in the house called Booze Hound, and I missed that scrolling. I'm scrolling too fast. Booze Hound, that's a funny name. Tucker is going off the deep end, I think. You know, hey, I won't say Trump isn't, but you know what? Tucker is he started talking about kissing up the Chinese and Iranians. And, you know, I want to give you 2 cents for Tucker. I'll be honest. He's gone off the deep end. He's having to get more extreme to get ratings. So I think that's what that boils down to. Yep. China actually went to Saudi Arabia to try to force it. So, because they were trying to get Saudi Arabia to have influence on the United States. They're probably talking to Iran on the side too. But the hardliners, they've been feeding that rabid dog for a long time, China has, but it's a rabid dog. Iran will bite China even. China just hasn't come to the reckoning on that yet. So they're still hooked in the supply matrix. Yeah, right now, but it may not last. Yeah, they may be scattered. They may be scattered, pouty frog. Sad to say, when you realize it's always the innocents that have to suffer for decisions made by our leaders. That's true all around the world. That is true. Tucker's putting himself in position to run for president. All right. If you'd vote for Tucker, put a 1 in the chat room. If you wouldn't vote for Tucker, put a 2 in the chat room. Where do you guys stand? You want to vote for Tucker for president? Let's see. I like Arnold. You can't train a snake to ride a bicycle. That was a good one, Arnold. Randy, is it Silter? It's hard for me to see the text on there sometimes. Due to Reagan's deregulations, allowed these mergers. Probably would have happened however you slice it. Hi, Carol. Oh, I got some coffee. Getting kind of weepy here, sleepy. There's no end, abundance of ignorance. You're not going to change those people's beliefs. No. See, Shelley, you won't. But it seems that the majority of the people, at least 80%, really don't subscribe to it. They would like to see Iran be a Western style nation again. Yeah, it's in their scriptures, in their constitution. It's what they believe. That's why I try to warn people about that. Whoops. No, this computer isn't heating up. That's the good thing about it. It's just a little warm. I don't see any ones. Nobody's saying they're going to vote for him yet. Getting all 2s. If it were just JD Vance, Tucker, you'd go for Tucker? I don't know. After Tucker talked about kissing up China, I couldn't support him at all. Anyway, so one of these things I get from that family-owned company is have some good snacks. It's all natural stuff here. Can't see the brand name. I was supposed to advertise it, so I pulled it over. But this one is pretty. This one surprised me. I didn't expect it from the name. The name is Peach Paralines, and it's got pecans in it. But it tastes like peach cobbler. mm, mm, I love it. Tastes like peach cobbler. Okay, go back to sleep. Oh, he's a mouthpiece. We haven't seen the end of him, I don't think. No, we ain't seen the end of him. But I think he is taking some risk. He's going to lose some of his base. Of course, there's a lot of people that gravitate toward that way of thinking. So sometimes if you're contrarian, you will always get a certain crowd of people following you. And they will be loyal to the thought, even though they could be wrong. In this case, I think he's off the deep end. Hmm. Carol, that tastes like peach cobbler. It's got pearlines in it, it's got pecans in it. Mm. But to me, especially the aftertaste it leaves when you chew it, it's like peach cobbler. Pretty interesting stuff. Alrighty, folks. We've been on here for a little bit. How long have we been on here? 62 minutes. Okay. Been on an hour. We got 95 watching. So that's good. We got a few people in the chat room tonight. So guess what we're going to do? Egg count. I got 11 hens now. One of my hens got sick. I had to put her down. She couldn't even walk. She wouldn't be able to eat or drink. So, and there's always a risk of disease. So I had to put that hen down. Unfortunately, hated it, but you can't run the risk of losing all of them. I had to get her out real quick. Made me want some cobbler. I love peach cobbler. I've been eating too much of that. I love peach cobbler. Mm. Hey, I'm an old boy from the South, and I don't know. Hey, they serve peach cobbler out here. It's popular out here in the restaurants here. It surprised me. I thought that was just a Southern thing. Mm-hmm. Peach cobbler is something. So, all righty, folks. How many eggs I get today? Go. Yes. How many eggs we get today? Let's see. I'm gonna set this other computer's faster. My other, no, well, they're the same speed. Looks like. I've got the chat room open with each one. How many eggs I get today? So I got the delay. All right, keep going. Keep going. Same speed on both computers. That other computer ran slower. Keep going. Keep going. Nobody got it yet. Keep going. The chat's frozen. All right, keep going. Oh, that's it. Carol got it. Carol guessed it. I got 5 eggs today. 5. Carol got it. It's 5. Carol got it. 5. Good job, Carol. It is 5. All right, folks, quit guessing. No guesses for a minute. When the guesses stop rolling, I'll ask the next question. All right, it looks like it's frozen. How many Easter eggs today? That's right, see, Shelley. Word goes to Carol. How many Easter eggs? Keep going. All right. Kim Possible got it. 2. It's 2. The hen I lost wasn't an Easter egger. I got 2 Easter eggs today. Kim Possible got it first. Let's see, I might have to minimize the screen so I can see what I'm showing you. Oh, I got aluminum foil avalanche going on here. Kim Possible got that one. And here are the eggs. The Easter eggs are here. These are pretty blue. The rest of them are back here. I only got 5 eggs today. 2 Easter eggers and 3 others. Well, probably all Dominickers. The rest of them. Oh, there we are. There's our eggs. So what time is it? Almost 2 a.m. Yeah, I got to get in bed before my rooster starts crowing. That's been a problem for me lately. Trying to get me. Put them over here so the cats don't knock them over. Hopefully tonight I gotta put a bunch of I got aluminum foil avalanches down. These are all to hurt the cats from getting on everything. I got a huge pile of it over there. Anyway, I'm at work. Okay, Arm. Oh, Kim Possible's at work. Yeah. Shh, I'm at work. Don't say your name so loud. Sorry. Should I not said your name so loud? Anyway, I got 27 eggs today, but I didn't collect for 3 days. Okay. How many hens you got? How many hens you got? Justin Easternham. Yeah. If I don't collect, I tend to break them. All righty. So, yeah, folks, I don't know. I didn't get a refund on that computer like I thought I would. I might get a refund on it yet, or they may try to repair it. If they do, they want to charge me $99. It probably won't work. All good, Greg. You don't want to say their name? Maybe I'll just do I'll just call you Possible. I know that's not your last name. We'll just call you K Possible. How about that? K Possible. Yeah, surely they won't know what we're talking about, right? Got 9 hens. Oh, well, you did really good. What kind of hens you have? 9 hens, 27 eggs. That's really good. Mine were laying more and they kind of slouched back a little bit. I got to work on that. I got a Dominicker that's not Dom. I got a Leghorn that's not laying anything, apparently. Anyway, so all right, folks, we're going to call it a night. We've been on for 62 minutes, according to, I don't think that's right. I think it said 61 minutes about 5 minutes ago. Is that clock right? Let's see here. Let me pull it up. What happened to my chat? Oh, it's over here. It's not showing what it normally does. Oh, 82 minutes. That and don't have the right time on it. But that can't be right. It's 82 minutes. Okay. We've been on for 82 minutes. That sounds more like it. I thought we went longer than that. Let's refresh over here. All this stuff. It's giving me the wrong time. That computer. Got a tiny little computer over here. It's about yay big. Amber Links and Mode. Rhode Island Reds. My roosters are Rhode Island Red. Okay. Your hens are doing good. Really good. It still says, I hate to refresh. I'm still saying 62 minutes. What's wrong with that thing? Refresh again, see what it says. Also got a different viewer count than this other computer. What is that? That's odd. All right, now we caught it up. Now it's caught up. All right. Well, folks, we've gone a bit long. We went through the news, got my monologue, looked at some articles, and we went through the chat, and we did an egg guess. So that pretty much wraps it up for tonight. I got to hit the hay. I got to get bed before my rooster starts crowing. It'll take me about an hour just to process everything, just to get in bed probably. And it's already nearly 2 o'clock in the morning here, so I got to get a rush to it. I am working tomorrow a little bit at least, and I hope to produce a video on Amy Eskridge tomorrow. Amy came up missing. She come missing. She allegedly committed suicide. A lot of us don't believe that. A lot of us just don't believe it. And suddenly she's all in the news now. People go, oh, we just discovered this. And there's a lot, and I've seen my videos on some other channels, plural. They're not giving me credit. So really? So had it covered for a long time. 6 of them are 2 years old. I think they're about down. Yeah, mine may be getting a little. Mine are about 2 years old mostly. Probably a little bit old. That's probably one of the problems. Got to get me some fresh ones. Let's find this. I'll do one more share screen. Where we go here? This is on my Galactic Greg's channel. My first video on this channel was of Amy. Originally, I broke it in 2 parts, and she thanked me for it originally because she was getting her, this was her coming out, her speech to HAL 5, an organization I started in 1983. And it was helping her draw investors and things like that. But then it started drawing some other people. She was like, I took the videos down for a while at her request. But then something happened to her. I reposted them and I did a video with the whole thing put together. Now watch this, guys. Listen to this. Hope y'all can hear it.
But they see the value in the research. They're usually people who, your ideal investor isn't someone that you have to convince that the research is valuable. Your ideal investor already knows that the research is valuable and is interested in giving you money. So you go find those people. You don't try to convince someone who's skeptical. You go to the person who already believes in the cause.
So what about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing? What about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing? I just saw another channel play me saying that. We don't know who said this. Somebody said this. They took it from my video and couldn't even give me credit. And then they call me a smart aleck they used the word AESS for that. Really? How many people have disappeared? That wasn't germane. How many people people had already been disappearing, even before these that they're talking about today. I knew about this way back. And why did I ask that? Because I've had my finger in this stuff. You see the kind of questions I'm asking? I'm asking more about investment and how our organization is operating. Why? Because I've dabbled in it. So she really liked what I did. In fact, one of the last videos of her on YouTube, she actually named me. She was actually kind of fond of me, apparently. I didn't know that. But anyway, stop the share. So I just want to share that with y'all so y'all can see that that's what I'm going to try to work on tomorrow. I'm a little bit late on it because I've just had too many other things dealing with problems on my computer, dispatching this chicken, and taking her body far from my farm to dispose of it so it wouldn't, reduce disease risk. Amy was just first of many top scientists to go missing. Well, actually, Ning Lee was a very famous case before her that went black. And then later we found out what happened to Ning Lee. But one of the people in that audience was Tony Glenn Robertson, who co-authored a paper with Ning Lee, her first paper. He knew her well, worked with her very closely. He didn't even know what happened to her. When she went black, she really went black. A lot of her friends and associates did not know what happened to her. So she could, poof, she just gone missing, poof, literally. And later we found out. And she was ran over. And the fact that the way she was hit, I think the car that hit her probably went up on the sidewalk to get her. I think that was intentional, personally. Her husband was so shocked by the sight of it, he had a heart attack and died. Well, Ning Lee survived, but her head was all messed up. She lost her faculties, unfortunately. So, what about that, guys? And the reason I ask that question is because this has already been happening. This is something that people in that community were aware of from way back. And I had an answer for it, and she actually kind of danced on the right answer, but she didn't follow her own protocol. Something to talk about in the future. She was a brilliant young lady, very smart, charming young lady. It's a real shame what happened to her. So, and I worry for her family. I didn't talk about it. I didn't, a lot of people say, oh, look, this happened to her, that happened to her. Her family didn't want nothing to do it. So I wouldn't talk about it for a long time. So it's been all over the news now. So some people were mad at me for not early on when I first posted that video for not just coming out and saying it, but it was a respect for her family. I mean, if you watch that video, her father was sitting like just two people over. It was like, I think it was his wife and then him next to me. I was sitting right next to him in that video. I know these people. They were from the community I was in. You're not just going to say stuff that's going to hurt some family members' feelings. So I just kept quiet about it. But, now that's all over the news, I'm going to come out and do a video on it. And, yeah, guys, there's something going on. Something going on. Anyway, hopefully I get that video out tomorrow. I'm going to try to start it in the morning. I got a lot of editing and stuff to do. Like, I don't have a good editor. My good editor's on my tower. I turned the tower in. The guy says, okay, you got sound. I brought it back and put it in the speakers. I ain't got no sound coming. I got to call him and say, okay, you said I got sound, but I ain't hearing no sound. What'd I do? Yeah, I'm having some computer issues. Trying to get my production back in order here the best I can. But I'm kind of limping right now. So, guys, I just want to tell everybody to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel because times are about to get interesting in the Chinese proverbial sense, which is a curse. It's about to get interesting. Things could turn for the better. They could for a while. So we know there's prophecies. We don't know how it's all going to play out exactly because we're told no man knows the day or hour, but we were told what's certain signs. And guys, if we ain't seen the signs now, they rhyme at least. So this is the most tense times in the world since the Cuban Missile Crisis, and arguably even more so. What did they know? She was working on anti-gravity research, and she was apparently supposed to testify before Congress, and she was about to announce something big. So that never happened. Apparently, she was having some breakthroughs. There's a lot of people that don't want this stuff out. Oh, yeah, we've talked about it, Albert Pike's letter. You gotta be careful how we talk about it here. But we've mentioned it several times. Yeah, what's happened today definitely rhymes with what was in that letter, at least what we're told was in that letter. It rhymes with it big time, Kim. So we're in interesting times, guys. Prep and pray. I tell you that every day. Prep and pray. That is the most important thing. So you got to get yourself ready. Be right with your maker. And be ready to take care of yourself and your family. That's the main things, guys. Hey, we got super chat. Well, thank you, Justin. Justin Easton. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. That helps. That helps a lot. General Sorrow, Greg, I'm with you. Yep. Thank you very much for that. So, folks, I'm going to tell you this. If you've not been prepping, you better get started. If you have been prepping, up the ante. Ask yourself, what are you going to do if the grid goes down? How are you going to prepare for that? I've covered it in videos. I got videos that talk about nuclear survival. You can go look at my playlist and scroll down. If you're using a computer, hard to do from the phone, but you can do it from the phone too. A lot of people don't look at that stuff. A lot of people have trouble finding some of my more important videos. So I think I'm going to set up some other video channels that more focus on specific things like that. Because I got over 1,700 videos in this channel. It does make it hard to find some things. Stay away from Windows 11, move over to Linux. Yeah, I'm running 10 right here. So, oh, we got another super chat tonight. Well, see, Shelly, thank you so much. Well, that's sweet. Appreciate that. That's 2 super chats tonight. That's awesome. Appreciate it, guys. So, there are a lot of pets in the area. Alrighty, folks. Just keep these things in mind. Be prepared. Big time. Think about what it takes to live without power. Most prepping channels tell you how to safeguard your electronics. I've covered that. You know, it's not so hard to figure out how to do a Faraday cage. But even that stuff's only been good for so long if the grid's down for a prolonged period of time. That's why in the past I focused on telling you guys to buy manual tools. Seriously. Yeah, thank you. So Justin and C. Shelley, once again, thank you for the super chats. Thank you, mods. New Day's posted a lot of links, but thank you, mods, for keeping everything clean in the chat room. We're a family channel here. So I expect everything to be kept family quality. And I'm going to say, keep your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. And thank you everyone for being here. Please share my videos because my videos have not been getting as many views lately. The platform's been stumping me. I've not got as many views in the last 2 live sessions. Share my videos, but make sure you also go. I think I had one video and I had 3 comments in the last live session. So after I post a video, go in and make some comments and comment to other people's comments. Getting only 3 comments, that really makes YouTube not want to show my stuff. So go in and do that. Make sure you give me a thumbs up on your way out, please. I'm showing 57 thumbs up and 91 people in the house. So guys, help me out. YouTube is not helping me at all. So help me get this stuff out. I tell you, I'll bring you things that nobody else tells you. So help me get this stuff out. And have to one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are. And with that, in honor of Randy Atlanta,